What's good? Kid Jerome here. I'm reviewing a different album every single day from 1001 Albums You Must Hear Before You Die, and today I'm going to be reviewing Soul Mining. Soul Mining is the debut album by London post-punk band The, released in 1983. Now, I've never heard of The, not even in passing. I've never heard any of their songs. I don't think I'm familiar with any of their work in any way, shape, or form. So I was excited to go on a new journey, to learn something new, culture myself a little bit more. And I'm really glad I did, because this album has a lot to offer. There's plenty of very interesting instrumentals on it, a lot of unconventional sounds. The first thing you hear are loud, syncopated drums on the opening track, accompanied by nothing at first. They're very punchy, very powerful, very unpolished, but in a way that really grabs your attention. It lays a strong foundation. Most of the tracks on this album are very high energy, danceable, very fun, lighthearted. It feels like this is sort of an album that's just birthed of a love for music, for people who love music. A lot of the structures aren't overly complicated, but very effective. Although the individual parts of each song are, on the surface, very simple, in tandem, they work to create this very complex, textured, layered sound that's very attention-grabbing, very effective. There's some very impressive moments all throughout the album. We have this wonderful piano solo in Uncertain Smile. We have this very dark, foreboding, dissonant chord progression in Soul Mining that contributes to the vocalist's very sinister, almost villainous vocal delivery. This highly eclectic, really punchy sound highlights the songwriter's versatility and influences. We're dealing with some really high-octane stuff here. I found the structures on this album very interesting. Very few of the songs follow traditional Western pop structures, like verse, chorus, chorus. This lends itself to sort of let the songs on the album evolve naturally. I feel like they're not trying to be anything other than what they are. A lot of the songs seem very natural. Nothing really comes off as forced. A lot of risks are taken, but it feels like they stick the landing just about every time. It's a very well executed, experimental sound. There's barely any choruses on the album. I mean, there's vocal refrains, and yes, there are sections that the vocalist repeats, but I can't remember a single lyric. I've listened to the album 3 times now, and nothing's popping out at me. It's impossible to sing along to. You're not really going to see much crowd participation, I imagine, at the concert. But this allows the songs to focus more on the melodic journey and the instrumental contours. It lends itself to be more of a musical expression than maybe a narrative expression. All of the energy is focused on making the song work, and less so on making the songs commercial or memorable or catchy. It's very interesting stuff. It's a very different approach to songwriting than what I'm used to as of late. And it's refreshing. It's absolutely refreshing to see somebody take this sort of risk and have it pay off in such a noticeable and powerful way. So while I can't really sing a bar back to you, every song seems familiar on the second listen. The vocals are very underpronounced, very low, sort of David Bowie-esque. It feels like melodic talking more than it does singing. It definitely lends itself to the sound. I feel like it's right at home in these more punchy, danceable tracks. When you're not focused so much on the lyrical content or the vocal performance, an understated vocal performance is perhaps exactly what the album needs. I think that it meshes very well with each song. While I'm not necessarily impressed with the vocal performance, while I don't think they're going to get first place on American Idol anytime soon, I can't imagine anyone else singing over these tracks. One of the album's most interesting tricks are these wide open intros. We're talking one note to silence. We have the sinking feelings, short, choppy synth notes, and then we have probably the most egregious wide open intro. On Soul Mining, we have 4 notes in the first 30 seconds of the song. So there's not really much for the listener to latch onto. It works to build the tension up to almost unbearable levels before really just kicking in with a melody. And once the melody does hit, it feels that much better. The payoff is much higher because we had waited for so long and there was so little leading up to it. It feels like a breath of fresh air. It feels like finally the song is here. This is what I've been waiting for. It makes you excited for each song to start. This is really impressive stuff and speaks highly of the songwriting capabilities. For us to be on bated breath after 4 notes, it's something that is rare if completely absent in modern music. And I really appreciate the time that they took to set the stage. The payoff is so powerful. The melodies are amazing on this album. Very catchy stuff, very memorable. Each melody serves as sort of the cornerstone for each song, as it should. Some good examples are the melody in I've Been Waiting for Tomorrow All My Life. The song otherwise is very syncopated, very heavy. The drums are relentless. For the melody to be able to keep up with this intense sound without being drowned out is impressive in its own right. We have the fun, lighthearted synthetic lead in This Is the Day. It's just very happy stuff. It feels like a warm summer breeze. Then there's the synthetic pizzicato strings in The Twilight Hour that show up at the beginning of the track and sort of disappear and let the rhythm really groove and ramp up for 3 minutes. It isn't until at the 3-minute mark, halfway through the song, that the melody comes back in. And at this point, it feels less like a melody and more like a checkpoint. Like, okay, we've accomplished all this. We've gone to all these different places up until this point, and now we're going to meet back at square one. Everything's going to cut out a little bit. We're all going to take it a little bit easier, and then we're going to do it all again, but louder this time. It's very exciting. Once you hear the melody come through the second time, you know exactly what's about to happen after that, and it gave me chills, honestly, the way that they were able to build up, throw it all away, and then build up even bigger was just really impressive. This album has tons of dynamic variety. We have soft tracks, loud tracks, some tracks are both. Some tracks start unbearably soft and become ear-splittingly loud. Dynamic variation, I feel like, is very important in maintaining the listener's interest. I feel like if you have a song that's entirely loud or a song that's entirely soft, then we're not going to have any memorable moments in the song. On the other hand, if the song starts maybe at a whisper and evolves into a roar, we're going to remember these different highs and lows much better. They're going to stick out more in our mind. The Sinking Feeling is a great example of this in that it has really spacey, wide open verses and very dancey, upbeat choruses. The melody line from the bass comes back during the chorus and really lays a foundation for everything else around it. We have these very long chords during the verse. It seems much slower, but during the chorus, the bass serves as sort of a cue for everything else to pick up an energy around it, and it's instant the minute the bass hits. The album ends on a monster of a closer with Giant. The first thing you hear are these 16th note hats, these hard-hitting drums, and it sort of keeps up this way for a minute and a half. We don't really even get any hint at a melody until the minute and a half mark of this 9-minute song. And once it does hit, it feels so well earned. About halfway through the track, the drums go crazy. They start picking up, getting louder, 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 and then everything else cuts out. And I had this moment where I felt like, yes, that's exactly what I wanted to happen. And we were met with this absolutely bonkers drum solo. A couple minutes into the drum solo, these anthemic, chanty vocals come in, and definitely the high points of the album for me. The other instruments start to slowly fade back in, like we've heard so many times throughout this album, and they all work together to build this ear-splitting wall of sound. It feels so well earned. Every moment of the song feels like it was earned. Every emotion feels like it was worked hard for. Not a second was wasted. This album blew away my expectations. It was truly unique and constantly impressive. I didn't expect anything like this from a band called The with an album cover like that. But I'm really glad that I looked past my first impression and I gave the album a chance because I feel like I learned a lot about music, about what music is capable of, about what kind of risks we should be taking. Some tracks that really stood out to me were This Is the Day, The Sinking Feeling, and Giant. I would recommend this album to electronic music producers. There's a lot to be learned. I would recommend this album to people who want to try something different and weird people like me. I give this album a 9. Thank you guys so much for watching. Let me know what you thought about the album in the comments below. You can click the link in the description to follow my journey. If you enjoyed what I had to say, please like the video. It really helps me out. And if you subscribe, I will see you tomorrow. Never stop listening. Peace.